you to know that we respect all peoples. So I identify as a man. And so we're going to say that everyone, all pronouns are well and accepted here. So please give me a prepaid pass so that we can move forward. But just know I'll talk in him and hers. But just know, just input your pronoun in there so that I'm not to offend anyone. So we put this in as a disclaimer because sometimes generalized speech and exceptional speech, you have moments of these types of things. So we don't want to step on anyone's toes. And we also want to make sure that everyone leaves and listens and stays and participates without those types of issues. So, and please, if you're in the chat, um, tell everyone to not put those issues in the chat. And just know we have a disclaimer at the end, at the start, and maybe the end. So we'll see how it goes. So today I wanted to talk about the no regrets, no fear situation that we're all in right now as living just as human beings and being the best that we can be. One of the things that is great about no regrets and no fear is that you can live in the now. And that's what we want to do is live in the now. The thing about living in the now is that it gives you a way to live conducive to you. When you have fear, then you restrict yourself, restrict oneself, and that can cause you problems down the line because you don't walk in your story, in your life, and that fear can sometimes make you be very, very not positive for yourself. On now onto regrets, and we'll revisit these things. Onto regrets. The regrets that people have in their lives, a lot of times they're just life lessons. You just have to realize that you were the star of the show. You was the common denominator in the regrets or the regrettable situations, attitudes. And sometimes they just take time to look at them and think about them and then say, you know what, I learned that lesson and let me move forward so that they cease to be regrets. Because you still have to live in the now. And living in the now requires a lot of patience and it requires a lot of moxie. And what I mean by that is that to say that to live in the now, to realize that, okay, I'm here now, and this is what I'm accomplishing, and this is the environment that I'm in, and how can I make my environment better? So how can I make my environment more conducive to me? And that's a hard thing to do. Is we know a lot of people grow up in challenging situations, and we have predetermined fears and regrets that are already built into us, sometimes from our older relative or people in our families or just the environment, our parents, because we all are growing up in different environments. We have different generations. And so, there's pre 2000s and then there's after the new millennium. So I'm in the pre 2000s. So, you know what I mean? So it's a very, very thing that can be a hindrance or it can be a wealth of information. I chose to have it as a wealth of information. I had a young person tell me that was under 20 told me that oh you grew up before the millennium, you're old. And I was like, yeah, I am old. I'm old enough to know how to live my life accordingly with or without technology. So that piqued their interest. So they asked me a bunch of questions about that. I said, well, I remember before there were no cell phones. There was beepers and pagers and different things, but no cell phones. Cell phones were just for the rich. So we thought as kids. So they asked me a lot. So we went on and talked about different scenarios, like how you could have friends in many different places and they didn't necessarily see you. As opposed to now, you can have friends and you got social media, you can call them, you can look at them, you can do, you can have all kinds of media contact. Whereas before, you had to go see the person, you had to contact the person. There was no texting. There was always more human interaction that was organic. Now, if you go on social media, there's a lot of organic interaction, but there's also a lot of stuff that's made, that's setups, that are like theater. Sometimes, sometimes good theater, sometimes bad theater, sometimes PG-13 and rated whatever else is out there. So I think it's causing a nation of people that don't know how to write cursive, don't understand cursive, don't understand how to interact with others if they're not in front of a computer screen or some kind of monitor or some kind of media. Whereas before you met people, maybe you were at the skating rink or, whatever it was that you did, and you met them in person and you developed something for them right away, whether you liked them or wanted to hang with them or just saw them every couple of months at the skating rink or decided to do a skating rink crew, stuff like that. Fun and easy stuff. And that's why you see everybody over a certain generation, they're doing pop ups no matter where you see them in the country, skating rinks, and that's good. Whereas the younger kids, they're just now discovering. And then, music. A lot of kids play so many video games that they actually did not know there was other music. So in the video games have older songs. So they're discovering the older music. And I've heard a lot of from young people that they like the older music than they like the new music because it has substance or it has substance to it. And they can listen to it all the time. Whereas some of the new music they can't listen to all the time. So these are some of the things, and a lot of people ask me, why do you talk to young people? Because I used to coach and I listened to them, what they had to say. And I would always tell them, hey, well, why don't you look at it this way? This is how this came about. This is how that came about. So they would know a little bit of the history. Because right now we're in a disposable society, truly where they dispose of people, they dispose of institutions, they dispose of just general media. Excuse me there. One of the things I try to do when I do my podcast is I try to go live no matter what without any going back in and redoing things. And that's not me. I can do it, but I publish it and let it ride. If it don't sound right, I'll listen to it, then I just delete it. It's not bad. I don't worry about the minutes. It's great. But anyway, on our no fear, no regret, no fear here. We're going to talk about regrets right now. We're going to talk about what we touched upon a little bit earlier. The regrets just is like an anchor. It's an anchor. It's an anchor to pull you back to where you were. And so a lot of times that causes a lot of emotional distress, a lot of it, because as that anchor, it just goes down and down because as you've already passed it. And if you haven't passed it, you need to take a look at why you have that kind of regret. Okay. And then you need to make amends for yourself. And you need to understand what you learned from that regret. Let's take, for example, maybe you had a significant other, and maybe the relationship just didn't work out, and you guys parted or whatever. Okay. Maybe you still love the person, or maybe you didn't, or whatever. As long as you know that you did the best you could do in the relationship to that person, then the satisfaction should be from that and not second guess yourself. And if you're the other person that decided you were going to do things not conducive to that relationship, then that's what you did. So the regret shouldn't be that you didn't do right. The regret should be, okay, I'm not at that maturity level, and that's not me. So I know what to expect, and I need to get myself cleaned up. And that's on both of those scenarios. So we have to look at ourselves and say, what's the common denominator? What did I do? What did I didn't do? Okay. What lessons did I learn? Okay, so I learned lessons about myself. It's not lessons about the other person, it's lessons about ourselves. So we have to take into account what it is about us that we did, or what was our thought processes, what it was, and then you think about it in depth, and then you say, okay, these are the lessons I learned, and then you dust off, and then you move forward. If you don't, then you go into the fear realm because you take those issues into the next relationship, which is baggage, which means that now you have fear that you're taking from a previous relationship with a previous person, and you're bringing those issues into that relationship. So you're adding fear so that that relationship can't move forward correctly, so that you can live in the here and now. So that means you might want to travel. Say you like to rock climb, and maybe your next relationship there's a person that likes rock climbing. So now you guys can go. But if you have regrets about your previous relationship and you have fears about what happened with your previous, maybe they didn't want to go rock climbing, maybe that wasn't their thing. So you impress those upon the next person, which the next person might be the blessing for you, or might be the person for you, or it might be the person that you spend time with on the weekends or whatever. You guys go rock climbing or whatever you do, indoor rock climbing, outdoor, whatever that makes you happy. And this is the whole thing in life, is to keep yourself in happiness as much as possible and to take the stress level down. We'll talk about this in another episode, but one of the things that I wanted to really rock on today was to be no regrets and no fears, and to have a better attitude and a better altitude to try and to get there and to reach it, so that you can live in the here and now. So that and one example would be like this: you're walking down the street and you have on heels, and your heel breaks. Oh crap! So you wanted those shoes. You knew what it was about. The heel broke. Okay, and maybe you're on your way to work, or maybe you're on your way somewhere important. Okay, so the heel broke. So what? Okay, so now you got to deal with it. Do you cancel where you're going, or do you just keep going and you just find something along the way to see if they can get the heel fixed? And if you're wearing another flat shoe, we're just using these examples. So in no way are we talking about anybody, we're just, or any gender or any of that stuff. We're just saying, these are just scenarios. Okay, say you have a flat shoe and your shoe tears up, as you're hiking. What do you do? Well, you're a couple of miles in. What do you do? So you find a way to get those shoes to work for you. So maybe you pull off a tree branch or something, or something, and tie that shoe up so that it stays and does what it needs to do, or something. You figure out something for it, or maybe you bought a second pair of shoes that you got in your backpack, so you just whip those out and you're ready to go again. So that's what we're talking about. No regrets and no fears. I'm just gonna keep going no matter what. It's not gonna stop my hike. It's not gonna stop my meeting. What I'm doing today, it's just not gonna happen. No fear, no regrets. You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about. So the mentality needed is that you can't have fears, okay? And fears are natural. They come, you're out in the valley, you have a fear, and that part right there, to have a fear is not the greatest, but you can overcome that fear because it's just there for you to move forward. If you let it hinder you, then you are letting yourself down for your here and now, to live in the here and now. So that's why we say the fear is not a fear. It's just a thing to let you know that you can finish, you can push through. And that's the hardest part in everything we do. No matter what you do, you start a business, you got a business, you got a job, you got a, whatever. You got, the boss comes around, the big boss comes, or you're the big boss, and you got the investors come around, and you're all hyped up. And you know what? Instead of realizing these are people too, I'm ready. I've been running this company, and or I work for this company, and I do what I do, and I've helped, and I've been on some great teams, and we've accomplished a lot. So that instantly take a couple of deep breaths, get yourself prepared, and you're ready to go. So no fears and no regrets. So you gotta face these situations head on, and you gotta face them. Turn the ship into the wind and launch the airplanes, like they used to say on the old aircraft carriers. These are things that have to happen, and these will happen, and they're going to happen, and they'll happen for you as long as you push through. I am a living testament to fear, to overcoming fear. One of the situations that has helped a lot of people, and I was able to help people when I was coaching athletes and different things, younger athletes, is that to show them, to get them to be prepared mentally and physically, spiritually, and to make sure, and socially, to make sure that they had a time that they could talk to me, and I would listen to them, and then I would coach them from that point of view. Tell them, well, hey, we'll take a look at this, take a look at that. Look at it this way instead of looking at it this. I deal with a lot of kids, challenged, came from challenged home situations, challenged environments, and what I noticed was they were tough. The ones that weren't tough were still tough because they had to deal with maybe they didn't have food in their house every day. So that's as a coach came through. It was like, okay, well, we got to help figure this out for you, whatever we need to do. And we need to do it quietly so that the other kids don't know, so that we can make sure that you have what you need to move forward. This is what I mean about fear. And to take for instance, we had one kid that they weren't eating every day. So we had to find out why they weren't eating. And then once we found out why they weren't eating, we took the proper steps to make sure that they were eating every day. So we made sure that during school time they were at least getting 2 meals or 3 meals a day. And then we also made sure on the weekends what we could do. So we found out what it was. So someone was hurting, that was their guardian, and they were hurting because they had went through a bad divorce. So we got them the help that they needed for that, and it made a difference at the home. They started coming to the games, and they started doing better in life. And that's what we were saying was just the fear. And they had the fear of had a fear of being alone, and now they were alone, and they couldn't deal with the fact that somebody that they had been with for years going on 10, 12, maybe 15 years, was now not in their life and not contributing to the household. So it put a lot of pressure on the child. So the child was able to eat every day. The guardian was able to get a job and able to move forward as they started going through their regrets and not regressing, but moving forward and getting over their fears. So that child ended up graduating from college, is now doing well. That guardian is now doing well, and they're moving forward. And does it make me stick my chest out as a coach? No. These are things that were supposed to be done. So one of the one of the big things about fear is it's a negative value. It is a negative proposition. And that negative proposition is what causes all the other negatives to show up. Loathfulness, laziness, all of those things. And fear sometimes can make a person not live their life and then be on their deathbed and say, I wish I would have done this, this, and this, which turns into regrets. But you're going on to the next world. So this is the thing about fear is you gotta overcome it. And the only way you're gonna overcome it is to face it. Like we say, turn into the wind and launch. So fear is the dream killer. It's the dream killer of all dream killers. Because if you're one of those people that say, I don't want to drive anywhere, or I don't want to walk anywhere because they're mugging people, well, you're attracting that to you. Whatever you put out in the universe, you're getting back. You're like a giant antenna. So if you think about overcoming yourself with the fear, then you can be, you can be better than what you were before. These are things that you have to learn. Is that fear is the great dream killer, and as a dream killer, it only kills your dream if you allow it to permeate and you allow it to stay. Regrets are the things that make you live in the past that don't deserve your brain power. And this is something I think a lot of people deal with. So one of the things that seems to work is to say, okay, I'm going to push forward. I'm going to live in the now, and to say that every day. And every time you get that negative thoughts or fears, is to say, no way, I'm moving forward by the best I can be. So those are things that make you move forward. And that's what we want in life is to keep moving forward. You got to stumble forward. Nobody knows you better than you. I'm not a therapist. You know what I mean? I'm a life coach, but I'm a life coach by experience. So one of the things that's great about being in this industry is that you get to meet all types. You get to understand what's going on with different people, and you understand how things are going, and you understand what the best situation is for yourself. And then you begin to see what was in you and others, and then you can help them maybe cope with it and move through it. That's the beauty that comes from your heart. So one of the biggest biggest things is that the best that you can be is always there for you. And we say that as a work in progress, a WIP. That's what I call it, a WIP. If you if you want to be better, then you got to work at it. And then that if becomes I'm better every day, every way. So you can do it by saying affirmations, prayer, whatever it is that floats your boat. And we just use those because that's what I've used and I'm still using. So, it is what it is and it does what it does. So remember, the universe is a mirror. So once you realize that, it doesn't matter what religion, race, creed, theology, ism, ideology, whatever, it's all the same when you go and look at yourself and you say, I got to make myself better, regardless of what situation you're under or over. You just got to make yourself better. And I have, it's a lot of people out here that I have mentored, and there's a lot of people out here that need to hear that they're going to be better. You sit in the hospital bed and maybe something happened that wasn't conducive to you. Well, guess what? There's people there to help you, and then you got some therapists or something to come in and help you, whether it be physical or mental, but all designed to get you out of that bed and get you back moving so that you can live in the now. And sometimes it's hard to see because you're like in a forest, you're running around and you can't see it, but that's what it is. The best people in the world are people that accomplish things in their life and they're of service. When you're of service, you start walking that path. And when you walk that path, your fears and your regrets, they fall away and you move on. You develop more positive, more positive things in your life, more positive situations. You attract the right people. So this is like one of those times where I feel like with this COVID-19 and everything that's going on, it was a time for a lot of people took this time to work on themselves. And there's also people that took time to try to overcome their fears. And there's still people that live in their regrets that have to overcome it. So as you venture forth out here in the world and you see who you are and you see what it is that you need to do and how you need to do it, understand that you have a path that you must walk. And that path is always with you. And so that makes the living life in the here and now the greatest. I don't live me, not living in the future, not living in the past, living in the here and now. And I enjoy the simple pleasures of life. And I enjoy the other pleasures, the hard pleasures of life. And I enjoy, working out and doing things that are conducive to me that's going to help me sustain myself so I can have many more days on this earth. And that's the whole point. It's that simple. Life is life. So when you're out here and you see an animal and say you're walking in the park, let's say wherever you're at, and you see animals, you know that that's the best animal you're going to see or animals you're going to see. That's the best squirrel you're going to see. That's the best dog or cat you're going to see. That's the best lion or lioness you're going to see. That's the best shark you're going to see. That's the best bird you're going to see. Humans are the only one with free will. That's what differentiates us, and so we've been told. The problem is we're not always trying to strive for our best. Sometimes we're living in squalor, and you can take that how you want it. It can mean many things for many people, but we're just saying for this purpose, you're living in squalor that's not conducive to you. So that situation has to be rectified at some point. So you got to make sure that you can pull yourself out of whatever hole you dug for yourself or whatever hole that's trying to swallow you now. You know what it is. So you meet somebody, they're not good for you, then but you like the way they look, then you know what it is. And somebody will tell you who they are. You better listen and take heed because they're telling you so that there's no problems down the road. There is a lot going on right now in the states and American states right now. So One of the big things right now is to enjoy yourself because we don't know if we're going to get a power outage. We don't know if we're going to get a water outage. We don't know whatever, you know, storm, earthquake, wherever you live, tornado, tsunami, whatever you live in the world. We don't know what we're getting. We don't know, especially in the States right now. So with all the media and the scare tactics out here, it can make you have fear. But why are you going to fear something that may or may not happen? Your job is just to get prepared and to trust with your faith and to trust with yourself that you're prepared. So that's why I went out. So I'm prepared. I know if there's something that happens, I can walk the 10 miles or whatever I need to do, or I know where to go to get help. Or if I have to help somebody, I'm able to do it without much problems with me. And that's what it means to be of service. So the next thing about it is this is that no matter where you live in America, there's some kind of calamitous situation that can potentially happen. So why am I going to fear it? I don't fear it. It's just I'm prepared for it. And so I'm prepared, so my training and everything will kick in. Something happens, I just got to keep my wits about myself. That's all. And then figure it out. If you have a family that you have to take care of, then that's something you got to deal with. So you got to take care of yourself first, and you also have to take care of your family. So they say put your family first. They didn't say not take care of yourself first. So you have to do all of that, even in an emergency situation. You got to make sure. Part of that is being prepared. You can never be over prepared. You can never be under prepared. You can just be prepared, so that when it happens, your training will come into view and it will take over. And that's the beauty of these things. So you can't have fear, and you can't have regrets. Those are things because they come into play. And you have to make sure that you do the things necessary that's conducive to you to make you be a better person and a better individual and be of service to someone else. The biggest thing in life right now is to be happy as much as you can because of what's happening. So a lot of people, when they relax the restrictions, a lot of people with amusement parks, water parks, people just went out happy, went out and had dinner, just happy to do things, which is great to drive the economies of scale. So we have to stay in that mindset and say, hey, we got to do the best we can do for each other and the best we can do for ourselves and our immediate family. No regrets, no fear. The vision that we're talking about episode depends on how you like it. Is about just moving forward, conducive to ourselves, and most of our stuff will be about that we talk about on this podcast. Will be about that. One of the best situations is that it doesn't take much to smile. It costs you no money to smile. If you got bad teeth, still smile. Who cares? You can always get them fixed. This is America. You can always get them fixed, and in other places you can get them fixed. So that's how I look at it. And the easiest thing to do is to make sure that you have a great day when you wake up in the morning. Say that to yourself that you're going to have no regrets and no fears, and you're going to have a great day. And just say that to yourself over and over a few times. Yeah, and watch what happens with your day. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that even if you couldn't sleep last night and you get up and you go and you brush your teeth and you take a shower, whatever it is you do, you can still have a great day even though you had a bad night. Maybe you had a bad night because some things happened and maybe you got visited. Maybe someone's trying to do something to you in the night and you're protected. Or maybe you got a newborn and baby crying all night. Whatever it is the case, keep it positive and keep it to where you can be the best that you can be throughout the day. And being the best you can be is just this: no regrets, no fears. You just keep going. This is the big thing that is available right now. So one of the one of the things that's good about dealing with my podcast is that you'll have things that will help you in a toolbox so you can listen. I try to have the most pleasant voice I can, and this is my normal way of talking. So somebody tells me that every time they listen to me, it puts me to sleep. That was some words someone told me that. So one of the things is if you gotta listen to me in the morning, fine. If you gotta listen to me at night, fine. Please tell me. Um, One of the things too is that I try my best to be best out here as far as what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and it's all based on my life experiences, and it's not anecdotal because a lot of us are going through some of the same things. We just haven't connected yet. So one of the one of the things about it is to be the best you can be, and that's all you can ask. And when you're the best, you just keep moving forward every day, and you keep living your life, and that's not a misnomer. That's a fact. So as I decide to shut down today, you guys have a blessed day and a blessed night if you're listening at night, and may all your dreams come true to you. This is David, and I am signing off.